Hamish here. I thought today, considering how bad the weather's been in the UK recently, I'd talk a little bit about rainy day archery. Now, some people out there will be like me and don't mind shooting in the rain on the occasional shoot if it's been a long time. However, it's been raining for like 4 months and no one wants to get wet that much, and rain can really ruin equipment sometimes. So I thought we'd do a little chat about on those rainy days where you don't want to go outside, where it's too cold and too wet, what else you can do to do with archery. So I've got a couple of rainy day rules. So the first thing I'll say is whenever I get a rainy day, I think it's a great time to check out your equipment. There's loads of stuff you can do involving archery without actually having to go out and shoot. So for a start, I said rain can ruin your equipment. Now I've got these Easton XX75s. A couple of you know about them, a couple of you have seen them, a couple of you have told me you like them. They're great. However, when I shot at an outdoor competition last year, I lost every single feather in the rain. So rain can really weaken your fletching glue and really ruin your fletchings if you don't know how to look after them. So number one, rainy day rule: take out an arrow and check it through. Check your fletchings, check your nocks are okay, check your points. Another thing is to check your arrows are straight, especially like me if you miss on occasion. So just a slight spin and check the shaft. Check it doesn't wobble as you spin it in your hand. This one's got a slight wobble on it. If you compare that to my awesome trad carbons, that doesn't have a wobble at all. So that one's straight. That one could do with a little bit of straightening, which is something maybe I'll talk about in another video. So, as I said, checking your fletchings, check the arrows. Okay, on carbons, check see if you have any splinters at all, because that can be really dangerous. With screw-on points, unscrew them, maybe a little bit of oil, just to make sure that they stay nice and tight and don't fall off, and also don't get seized on at all. And that's what I do, I just have a quick check over. Things like your quiver, you can check that everything's okay there, you got no water stains. Maybe a bit of boot polish on a leather quiver, that's what I do, just to occasionally make it come back to life a little bit. Your gloves, check the finger pads, check there's nothing worn through. Check it's all okay, double check your Velcro is quite clean and usable. Arm guards, again, if you got a leather one, maybe a bit of polish just to really bring out that shine on it if you like that. This one I quite like, quite rustic, mind you. With braces like this that have cord, just check the cord's okay. Make sure that the knot's still tight and that it's not going to fail you when you come into the competition or when you're outdoor shooting, because the last thing you want to do is break an arrow because some of your equipment's faulty. Moving on to your bow. Check your bow for damage. Look for things like slight pressure cracks along it. Make sure that it's had a nice clean down and that it's a nice thing. I find warm soapy water on this cloth, get it so it's just a little bit damp, rub it over, and then straight away with a clean dry cloth give it a bit of a clean and make sure that you've got no marks on it. Your shooting shelf, if you like me shoot with a little fur and leather pad, check how that's doing for damage. Does that need replacing soon? Again, these can really come off in the rain, so if you have been shooting in the rain, double check that they're still on tight, because again, you don't want one of those to come off. Do you have to be in every video, dog? Anyway, so other things you can do is check your bowstring. This one is a Flemish twist bowstring, so have a little check it's not fraying too much there, a little bit of wax to hold it down. Re-wax your bowstring, make sure that that's still nice waterproof and still has a nice loose on it. Check your knocking points on the string, are they still on tidy and look alright? And just have a bit of a general look over it, make sure everything does look nice and neat. After equipment, there are other things you can do. How about going on a website? There's lots of websites out there and it's great to just pull up a website, have a quick look. Some of the ones I like going on are Merlin Archery. We have Aardvark Archery, which is another UK one. in North Yorkshire. So if you're ever around, pop into them. And again, they have lots of new equipment updated all the time. You've got the longbow shop, you've got American ones like Three Rivers Archery, and you've got Lancaster Archery. There's so much out there. And just have a look over it. You've checked your equipment, maybe you've noticed something's a bit amiss. It's a great time to do it. You've got nothing to do outside. Have a little browse, have a little bow shop, make a Christmas wish list. Do things like that. Really involve yourself with it. Another thing, and you're probably doing it right now, so maybe it's a bit silly to say this, but check your Facebook, check your YouTube, check your Instagram. Have a look at all the new traditional things or the new archery things that are out there. I love to go on and see if someone's made a new video about form, or made a new video about holding a bow correctly, made a new video reviewing a product that I might consider getting. You know, it's a great way to check it out. I also love reading blogs. There's some great bloggers out there, and I'll put some links in the bottom for you guys. Just go on their page, have a little read about what they're into right now, what they're looking at. Have a little look to see if they've tested any equipment, their views. There's some great ones that describe shooting ranges near yourself and outdoor setups that are great to shoot. It's a really good thing to do, guys. I mean, who doesn't like checking out other people shooting when they can't do it themselves? It's great, and it gets you in that mood for shooting. So maybe you will venture out into the rain later that day, or maybe you'll, I don't know, make a plan or make a date later on that weekend to shoot. It's a great way of psyching yourself up and thinking, right, I'm going to work on that next, or that's something I'd love to try, or ooh, that looks an interesting product, maybe I'll have a go at one. Another one that, again, I try and hammer to other people, but are useless at doing myself, really, is practicing form. Now, for me, it's not such a big deal because I have a little range out in the garden that I can practice on. But for some people, and I know I used to be one, when it's rainy or when it's holidays from, you know, Christmas to New Year, that really weird period, Easter's coming up, that's bound to be another strange one. It's great to practice your form, but if you can't get to a club and that's where you shoot, then you're really tied up. So getting stuff like this, getting a bow trainer, is a great way of being able to practice your form in the house. So you know you've got a nice little form when you go back out. It's keeping your muscles still in tone, your muscles still memorizing the functions, you know. I wouldn't ever let go or loose one of these because it will hit, but you get the idea. It's the way of practicing your form, visualizing shots, practicing your stance, so when you go back, you're either at the level that you left at because you've memorized those muscles. With instinctive, that's really important, keeping your body memorized with it all. But you're memorizing that and, you know, making sure everything feels right still, or even building yourself up. I spent weeks building myself up to my first £50 bow. It was the first bow that I'd owned myself. I'd gone from £18 to £50, and I was killing myself. So I spent weeks using this and building myself up, making sure that I could draw the weight, you know, practicing the equivalent of arrow after arrow thousands of times until the £50 bow came naturally to me. Now I use £50 bows all the time and don't think they're heavy. They're just my normal bow, which is great, you know. So yeah, it's a good time to practice. Maybe go to the gym if you got a gym membership, or even practice around the house. There's lots of things you can do and practice around the house that will build you up. And I'll do a video on these. I'll show you some exercises you can do that you don't need special equipment for, that will help you build yourself up and be able to memorize those stances, or being able to hold the bow longer, or stuff like that. You know, I'll do another video just to help you guys. Finally, and this is what I do on a rainy day, is I make my own. I have a make your own day. Now that can be lots of different things. I got a video coming out because I've just made a new set of arrows. It was a rainy day outside, I had nothing to do. A very kind friend of mine had sent me some arrow making equipment and said, why don't you make your own? It was great. It was involved in archery, and you know, it was something to do indoors in the dry. But not only that, when you do make your own, you make your own bow, you make your own arrows. I mean, even as far as making your own equipment, you start to appreciate other sides of the sport, of the pastime that you didn't realise were there. you start to appreciate how important spine is, and how with a carbon arrow it's not too bad, they're all fairly spined the same. But with wood arrows there's such variation, you really start to get an appreciation of like how you're going to handle the wood and what size it needs to be. You start looking into things like, you know, how long do my fletchings need to be, and which nocks would be best for this, and oh, I've got a little problem getting my point on, how can I solve that? And it starts to open your eyes a little bit that actually archery can be as simple a sport or as complicated a sport as you make it, which is great. Making your own bow, again, you start to appreciate how well designed bows are now, and how when you buy a bow from a manufacturer that says, you know, it was 400 quid and handmade, and you think, oh, 400 quid's quite a lot, but you know, and you especially your compounders and recurve target archers with their big £1,000 bows shout out in surprise when you tell them that your longbows might have cost you £800, but then again your longbow was handcrafted from a piece of wood while theirs was rolled off a production line. However, then you appreciate how well made their target and compound bows are, how almost ingenious they are, and how the parts all work in unison, and how difficult that is to replicate. You begin to understand bow dimensions, you begin to understand tillering and a bow's overall shape, and eventually you'll be able to look at a crafted bow from a manufacturer and spot maybe flaws already. You can tell the difference between a cheaper bow and a more expensive bow from things like the tillering on it, just looking at them. So it's a great way of doing that. You've still got other things like you can have a go at making your own bracer. Have a go. I've made my own quiver before, not this one, but I did make one. It was useless. I bent it straight, but it was a nice exercise and showing me actually that's not as easy as it looks. It's not a case of stitching some leather together. There's some ingenious beyond that, and some measurements that really need to be considered carefully. I'm talking about make your own. I don't just mean equipment. Like, that's all well and good. It's a great thing to do, but you know, there's other things you can do as well. Like, what do? Well, I put Instagram posts out there. I make YouTube videos like this. This one's a rainy day one. You know, I've just decided that it'd be a good thing to talk about, and actually talking through things and chatting with people, it really helps. And you know, if you don't really particularly like going on YouTube and you don't like taking pictures of yourself with Instagram, have a blog. There's lots of archers out there who literally, I always take a notebook with them. There used to be some of my club, always have a notebook, and they'd write down, Coach, I'm talking about you, they'd write down what they did well that session, what they did wrong. Now, why not turn that into a blog? Because other people can read it and go, oh, I do that, or oh, I feel like that. The amount of times coaches made a couple of notes about me and then gone back, and Shelley's come over and said, Nath, I made a note about you, it said you were doing this slightly wrong, why don't you try this? And that's really helpful, because she might not have seen me for 2 or 3 weeks, but then even before I started shooting, she said, oh, last time you did this a bit different, why not do it this way? It's something to work on. And there are people out there, dude, they just write their own blogs about this, you know? They write about what they've seen, they write about what competitions are coming up, they write about what's made their best archery day, and that's a great way of just keeping archery alive on a rainy day, on a snowy day, or when you can't go outside, you know? And I think it's really important that, you know, immerse yourself in it. If you love archery, then do a bit of everything, you know? Make some stuff, train when you can, and, you know, use your spare time wisely with archery rather than just slobbing out in front of the TV maybe. On the other hand, it's a great time to relax if it's raining outside, so you can also do that. But I just thought, you know, if you're into archery, there's a couple of ideas there. There's sort of 5 or 6 ideas of things you can do when it's not so great outside. And having said that, it's now sunny, so I'm going to go outside and shoot. I'll catch you guys later. Like and subscribe and all that jazz, and let me know if there's anything you want to do, or let me know your rainy day plans. You know, I love hearing from you guys. I love answering your questions. I love being involved with your guys' archery and sharing the vibe of it. So yeah, please like, please subscribe, please send me all those messages. I really appreciate them. So yeah, skirmish out, shoot straight, guys. See you later.